Hey guys, it's Luke here for my top 6 DraftKings plays for the Open Championship here in 2021. In last week's video, I gave out Lucas Glover as my bread and butter play. He ended up coming out winning the golf tournament last week at the John Deere Classic. And we're not only coming off that winner, but a winner from the week before as well. We had Cam Davis as my number one value play, winning the Rocket Mortgage. So we're looking to make it 3 in a row for the major championship over in England. This video is going to be my picks for DraftKings, one pick in each price tier, all around the salary ranges. And if you're new here, all of my picks are going to be data-based as usual. I use my experience as an electrical engineer, a lot of the tools, techniques that I've learned along the way to help take on daily fantasy sports. My goal is to simplify daily fantasy sports for the average player, to give you guys some visualizations, tools to make lineups, and make your lives easier, and to also help you guys make some money. That's my goal. I don't just cover the PGA Tour, I also cover the NFL, NBA, UFC, and even more. So make sure to check out my channel for all the content in those sports. I don't just have video content, I also have a Patreon page where I post my PGA Tour projections for all the players in the field. All 156 for a PGA Tour event, I'll have them for all the players in the Open Championship. I also cover my ownership projections, I give some game theory notes. I'm going to be adding a lineup builder eventually, some other visualizations that I use myself to make lineups. So make sure to join. It's only $1 right now. It's a really, really, really good value. I highly advise you guys to do so. With all that out of the way, let's hop into my picks for this year's Open Championship. Before we hop into my plays for this week, I want to review my top 3 key metrics for my custom modeling. Because I use a data-based approach, I like to let you guys know what I'm factoring the most into my modeling so that my picks make a little bit more sense. Before we hop into those, my bonus is going to be shots gained putting on bent grass. We are going to see bent grass greens just like we saw at TPC Deer Run last week for the John Deere Classic. It tends to be a consistent surface. It tends to run a little bit slower than other surfaces. As a result, a lot of the worst putters, a lot of the shaky putters on tour tend to have a little bit of more success on this surface. So definitely something I'm considering in my modeling. But at number 3 for my key metrics, we have shots gained approach. So if I use a regression model, it's how I identify a lot of my statistics for my modeling. I try to correlate some of these finishing position with all of their major 4 statistical categories. I run that for all 4 categories. I run it for all players in the field over all the years that we have an event. And if we take a look at the last 10 years at the Open Championship, shots gained around the green comes in at number 2 out of 56 events on the PGA Tour schedule. So it's obviously very important. It makes perfect sense if we think about the Open setup. We have a lot of pop bunkers, a lot of undulations on greens, relatively long golf courses as well. So you need guys that are able to get it up and down. And number 2, we have driving accuracy. Again, we have pretty severe pop bunkers. The fairways tend to be a little bit firm, and as a result, you need guys that can hit it in the short grass. Hitting from the fescue, hitting from those pop bunkers is absolute death. You're looking at the best a layup, if not pitching out sideways. So you need guys that are hitting it from the short grass. And at number 1, we have shots gained approach. This is a relatively long golf course that we have at Royal St. George's. It's, again, 71.89, I believe, for a par 70. A lot longer than we're used to seeing on the PGA Tour. And as a result, we're going to have a lot of long iron shots. A lot of shots in the 175 to 200 range, even the 200-plus yard range with your irons. You're going to have to be pinpoint with those. You're going to have to be able to judge balances, 20, 30-yard rollouts with your 3 or 2 irons. And I'm really looking at those long iron specialists this week for the Open Championship. But now for my player picks, what you guys are here for. For my spend-up option, I'm going with Rory McIlroy, a $10,900 golfer who was my pick last week for the Scottish Open. He ended up missing the cut in disappointing fashion, but I think he bounces back well over at Royal St. George's and picks up his 2nd Open Championship win. Not only is Rory from Ireland, he has plenty of experience on the links setup. He grew up on it, played on the European Tour for a while. He's made plenty of appearances on the European Tour over the years. He's also somebody who has a great skill set for this course specifically. As I mentioned in my key stats, I'm looking for somebody that has an around-the-green game, somebody who can get up and down, somebody who's relatively accurate off the tee, but that has great iron play. Rory McIlroy checks all of those boxes. He has an especially good around-the-green game, especially from bad situations. And I think those magic beans, that magic wand, is going to do him wonders this week. I'm going to take a look at how he's done at the Opens over the years, specifically the last 4 years. He has a 2nd place, a 4th place, and a 5th place finish. That's all great to see. Last time out in 2019, he ended up finishing in the top 20. It was a little bit disappointing because it was at Portrush, very local for him. But I'm willing to ride the form coming in. He had to win at the Wells Fargo Championship. He hasn't missed a cut in his last 6 appearances, I believe. And I think he's a great fit for this week. And for my second man in, we have Jordan Spieth. He comes in at $9,700. He's my second man in, but probably my favorite play on the entire slate. If he was priced in the $10,000 range, he would by far be my spend-up option. I think he has a lot better chance to win this week than Rory McIlroy, and a lot of it has to do with just how he plays in tough conditions. He comes in number 1 in the field in shots gained total over the last 50 rounds, essentially the best player in the world for the last 3-4 months, and he's also somebody who's done it in all 4 categories. He's the best around the green player in the top 10 of the field, not the best in the world. There's some guys priced down farther, but he excels in the other categories, which really sets him apart. He's also one of the best iron players in the entire world. Only Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, and Justin Thomas have been better over the last 50 rounds, but all of them have huge gaps in their game, specifically with their short game. So with Jordan Spieth, you have somebody that has precision with his irons. He's one of the best around the green players. The only problem I have with him would be his driving accuracy. I mean, over the years, he's been one of the worst drivers in terms of accuracy, but of late, he's definitely improved in that category. He's hitting over 65% of fairways over the last 50 rounds. We've seen him do well at Opens in the past. He has 5 straight cuts, a win, a 4th place, and a 9th place finish over that stretch. Jordan Spieth doesn't need to hit fairways to play well. We've seen it time and time again. He has an innate ability to judge lies, to hit recovery shots, and he's definitely my pick to win. I've bet him to win this golf tournament. He's going to be my first man in a lot of lineups. If I need to spend up elsewhere, if I want to play Rory McIlroy, I'm going to play him alongside him. So he's my favorite golfer. He's a lock for me this week. I'm playing him in every single lineup that I have, and I absolutely love him. For my bread and butter play, we have Patrick Reed, who comes in priced at $8,800. And again, if you're looking for short game magic, just like with Jordan Spieth, Patrick Reed is your guy. He may actually be better at that short game. On the year, he ranks top 10 in shots gained around the green and also top 5 in shots gained putting, which makes for a lethal combination. So not only is he putting himself close when he gets out of trouble, he has one of the best putting games in the world. When you have a great combination there, you don't make very many bogeys. And you've seen that translate to these big game tournaments. He's known as a big game hunter, somebody that does well at WGCs. We've seen him do well at large majors, other large events like the Memorial. So it's definitely not surprising that he's one of my picks this week. He's somebody who steps up his game when the stage is the largest. He's also done very well with his ball striking. He's been gaining off the tee. He's gained on approach more than most years than usual. That's probably why we've seen him win once this year, have multiple top 5 finishes. I definitely think he contends this weekend. I'm not sure if he wins. I think someone like Jordan Spieth has a better iron game, more consistent off the tee game. But when it comes to the metrics I'm looking for, he fits all of the boxes. For my value play, we have Daniel Berger, a $7,400 golfer who is just completely mispriced by Draftkings. So at $7,400, Berger's probably $2,000, at the very least $1,500 priced less than what he should be. He was priced over $11,000 last week. While he didn't have a great week, he was a fade of mine. He was very highly owned. Ended up finishing 34th. And again, while that didn't pay off the $11,000 price tag, it wasn't a negative performance. It was a birdie fest. He didn't make enough putts. He ended up striping the ball pretty well, especially in the last 2 rounds. But at $7,400, he has more than enough game to pay it off. He's somebody who gains in all categories except for around the green. He tends to struggle there a little bit, but he's a very solid ball striker, gains over 0.6 strokes per round on approach. He also gains over 0.4 strokes off the tee per round. A majority of that with his distance, but he's also a relatively accurate driver of the golf ball. And overall, I think you're getting a lot of value at $7,400. He's going to be a relatively chalky option as well. He has a lot of name value. All the casuals know who Daniel Berger is as well, but I think it's well warranted. I think there's just a lot of opportunity cost in not playing someone like him. If he ends up being like 35, 30% owned this week, we'll have a conversation about that on Wednesday, whether we're playing him or not. But as of right now, he's one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. If we go to my diamond in the rough, we have Keegan Bradley. He's down in the $6,800 range. And I'm playing with fire with Keegan Bradley. He's been somebody who's won me a lot of money this year. He's also cost me a lot of money as well. He's been extremely volatile. He has a lot of top tens, but also just as many missed cuts on the year. He's been excellent from tee to green. He's gaining over a stroke per round tee to green, which is top 15 in this stacked field. The only drawback for him has really been the putter. It's really been his drawback for his entire career. He's losing over half a stroke with the putter per round. But if we take a look at where he's had success in the past on the greens, it's been on the bent grass surface. He's getting 0.22 strokes extra on the bent grass surface. 3 out of his 4 wins of his career have been on the bent surface. So if he's going to have a good week with the putter, if he's going to break through for his second major championship, it's going to be at the Open Championship this week. So that's why he's my diamond in the rough. And finally, for my flyer, this may be one of my highest owned golfers in the entire slate, maybe except for Jordan Spieth. He comes in at $6,300, and that is Sam Burns. So just like Daniel Berger, there were a couple blatant misprices this week. I think Adam Scott comes to mind. He's just around $7,000. Should probably be closer to $8,000. But Sam Burns is the most blatant of all of them. He has a win on the year, 2 second-place finishes, and 2 other top 5 finishes to boot. He's somebody who's had one of the best one of the best seasons of anybody on tour this year. He's top 15 in the FedEx Cup rankings. He won the Valspar. He gained significantly off the tee, on approach, and putting. His only shortcoming is around the green, just like Daniel Berger. But again, if these guys end up having a great week, if they end up going out hitting more fairways than they should, more greens than they should, they're not going to have many around the green opportunities. So I like Sam Burns. Obviously, in the $6,000 range, you're looking at guys that have a lot more problems than Sam Burns does. You have guys that are losing in every category, guys we've never seen play before, people in their 50s and 60s. But then there's Sam Burns that isn't perfect. He's won this year, but definitely well worth the price. He's definitely going to be highly owned, especially among those that do their research, that really know what they're talking about. A lot of casuals aren't going to go down that far. They're not going to know who Sam Burns is, apart from his one win. Again, we're going to look at the ownership on Wednesday. We'll make a decision then on it. But as of now, ownership aside, he's definitely one of the best plays on the entire slate. That's all I've got for the picks for the 2021 Open Championship. I'm going to have my top 6 value plays out tomorrow morning for DraftKings. It's going to be my top 6 plays below $7,500. You guys seem to really like the series the first few times I put it out. So we're going to be doing that for the Open Championship. Let me know in the comments what you guys think the winning score is going to be this year for the Open Championship. If you guys end up getting it within one in your comment, I'm going to give you a free month of my Patreon. Again, on my Patreon, I have the projections for all players in the field, all 156 for the Open Championship, as well as ownership projections, some game theory notes, and again, I'm going to be adding even more tools over the next month. So if you don't end up getting it right, you guys can always join for $1. It's super cheap. It's a super good value. It helps me with growing out the page as well. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the content. It really helps me out. I'm looking to grow this channel. I'm looking to make it a full-time job. So if you guys can like and subscribe, it'll really help me out a lot. On top of that, I hope you guys have a lot of luck in your contests this week. There are some huge contests on DraftKings. We have a Million Maker, multiple 200K contests. So good luck this week. Let me know if you guys end up taking something down. I'd love to share it with the community. So good luck. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the value plays.